Here comes your state compliance update for January 2025. Hey, I'm Morgan Davis. I'm a health and wellness attorney based in Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's talk about how to keep your business protected and thriving. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2025. I hope yours is off to a bang. Mine certainly is. One of the biggest needs in cannabis and hemp is somebody to track the constantly changing regulations, laws, administrative actions, all the things that make up how we know what to do and what not to do in this business. It's hard for any one person to do that across 50 states. And if you're a business owner operating in this space, you got a ton of other stuff on your plate. So my gift to you, my gift to the industry is once a month, I like to do a compliance update on the biggest things that have occurred in the regulations, changes, whatnot, in the past 30 days or so. So here comes your update for January 2025. As of January 28th, 2025, here are the biggest updates for the last month. The good news. 1, Georgia is finally done with their rulemaking process. They sent out an intent to adopt new changes last fall. Sort of been going and not knowing when it was going to be done. That process is done. They have introduced new regulations that include new contaminant levels for your certificates of analysis, new packaging and labeling requirements, and licensing requirements. So, two biggest things to know. If you've got products that you are selling in the state of Georgia, the analyte tables that need to be reflected on your testing are different than other states. So make sure you call your laboratory, send them the regulations for Georgia, and say, make sure that the analytes you're testing for that you're testing for these analytes and that you're doing so within these limitations. Otherwise, your certificate will not be compliant with Georgia regulations. In addition, Georgia is now requiring that all consumable hemp products have that lovely little sticker on them that says warning THC Georgia. It mimics what is done on the regulated cannabis side of the business. Personally, don't think it makes a lot of sense for the hemp side of the business, since these products should be federally legal and can be sold in many, many states. Nonetheless, that's what Georgia's done. So all products are going to have to be stickered to include this sticker at retail. It's a specific sticker. It's black, white, and red. You've got to use that one or something similar, and I would guess that or something similar means it's going to have to be approved in order to be accepted. It's in the regulations, which I'm putting a link to in the notes. Make sure you read them in their entirety in case there's anything else in there that applies to your specific product that I might not be covering in this update. However, if you don't feel like reading them on your own, feel free to give me a call and we can talk about what you're selling in Georgia and what you need to do in order to be in compliance with the new regulations. States we are still watching with bated breath. Texas, at the end of last year, the lieutenant governor came out and said, we're going after all the hemp products. We're getting rid of everything that has THC in it on the market. The promise was that Senate Bill 3 that would be introduced this month would have the ban language in it. Senate Bill 3 has been introduced. It does not have that ban language in it. So we're still waiting to see what that language is going to look like and when it's going to be introduced into the bill, if it's going to be in that bill or something else. So big question mark for Texas right now, but we'll be watching it very closely as it's a huge industry. Personally, I think a total ban is very, very unlikely to pass in Texas. There's a lot of business in Texas in the hemp industry. But I think it is not out of the realm of possibility for regulations to be put into place that don't currently apply to the industry in Texas. Ohio. So Ohio has a bill that was almost passed all the way through last year, then was reintroduced, that would effectively ban, if not significantly limit, the entirety of the hemp industry in Ohio. It was already passed by the House, then it needs to be passed by the Senate, and then sent on to the governor to sign. We're still watching to wait and see what's going to happen there. Right now, it hasn't made any movement yet, but we'll be watching Ohio very carefully. New Jersey. If you recall, at the end of in the fall of last year, New Jersey passed a law that essentially shut down hemp in the state for a period of time with the promise that it would reopen at a later date with extensive regulations and licensing requirements. There was a preliminary injunction granted in that case, and then the regulatory body, or the CRC, who's in charge of enforcing the new law, basically said, we're not going to enforce anything right now, other than no sales to people under 21 and no synthetics. Otherwise, we're not enforcing this law until we can figure out how this injunction applies. There is rumor that next month that's going to change and they're going to issue new regulations. We'll see. Could just be a rumor. Missouri is one of several states last year that tried to ban hemp altogether. The governor tried to do it at some point, then the AG blocked him. The Department of Health and Human Services sort of tried to do it at some point, then that ended. There has been a bill that was proposed last year that would ban pretty much Delta 8, all synthetics, and a large portion of the rest of the hemp industry. Right now, there's some conversation of trying to get a carve out for beverages, but the debate around that bill is picking up again, and we'll see if it's successful in passing this time or if it'll die again. The not so good news. Florida. A new bill was proposed yesterday in Florida, which does a lot of things. Again, and these were things that were tried last year in a different bill in Florida, so some of this is sort of revisited, but it's got a couple new things to it. One, it redefines hemp to be a total THC standard in Florida. So even hemp flower would be under a total THC standard. So THCA flower would no longer be legal or possible in the state of Florida. It redefines hemp extract to specifically exclude Delta 8, Delta 10, HHC, THCP, THCO, and THCV, which would kill the majority of the vape industry to be sold in Florida. Caps all hemp products at 2 milligrams per serving, 20 milligrams per container. It's a pretty aggressive cap. Requires all stores selling hemp products to be permitted by the FDA-CS. Prohibits the sale of hemp products at stalls, food stalls, festivals, anywhere sort of on the street. And adds in some interesting restrictive marketing practices, specifically calling out that while you certainly can't market as anything attractive to children, you also a store will not be able to market in a way where the products or the marketing is viewable to the public from the street. This is something that they're pulling from the regulated cannabis side of the industry. It's the idea of, we don't want a bunch of advertisements about THC products to be out in public. In addition to that, all advertising cannot include any reference that it might be related to a medical cannabis product, and cannot even use the word THC. That's going to make marketing in hemp very difficult. So that was introduced yesterday. We'll check in next month and see where that's at. Some litigation that I'm going to cover this month. I haven't historically done this in these compliance updates, but there's been two important lawsuits, one filed, one won, that are great news for the industry, both having to do with raids that were conducted by different law enforcement agencies in different states. So in the state of Tennessee, the city of Spring Hill and local law enforcement conducted a raid last year and seized 200 plus pounds of hemp, claiming that it was illegal marijuana. The stores that it belonged to immediately filed suit, I think within a week, claiming a great deal of damages. That suit has been decided and they won. The stores won, and they won a settlement of $735,000 from the sheriff's department. That is undoubtedly going to have a significant cooling effect on law enforcement in the state of Tennessee and hopefully in other states to keep going into these legal businesses and just willy-nilly seizing everything without proof that everything is in fact illegal. In the same vein, my friends over at 10 Fulton Walker and Owens filed a lawsuit against the Onslow County Sheriff's Department and 2 deputies. If you remember me talking about a rash of raids that were happening in North Carolina, especially on the East Coast, back in spring and fall, Operation Vapor Trail, where hundreds of stores were raided and tons of product was taken, cash, their stores were destroyed, people were arrested and charged, all on the belief that hemp is illegal, and stated by the Onslow County Sheriff's Department, as well as many other law enforcement officers, that they hate hemp and essentially want to make sure that it goes away forever. Fast forward to in December 2024, the attorneys at 10 Fulton Walker and Owens are representing several of the stores in Onslow County and have sued the Onslow County Sheriff's Department, similar to the suit in Tennessee, basically saying you have illegally searched and seized products from these stores to a great deal of damage to these businesses. So we'll be watching that very carefully and sending them good vibes and a lot of hope for a successful outcome to protect all of the hemp businesses in North Carolina and hopefully on a much larger scale across the United States. I hope this update has been helpful to you. Please come back and check in next month for the next month's updates, as well as some updates on what we've talked about this month. If you find that these aren't enough for you and you need some more help, maybe you want specific help to your business and the products you carry and to the states that you're distributing in, please give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about our monthly regulatory updates that we do for clients that are specific to their product line. And we'd love to help make sure that your business is in compliance. Thanks so much.